Hey, this is Gail Nelson. This is The Game of Life. Welcome to The Game of Life, Season 2, Episode number 4, National Mentoring Month. Whenever I hear that song, I'm typically in a building not far from here, known as the AAA American Airlines Arena, and the man behind making sure everything, that entertainment experience is top-notch, is in the studio today. Mr. Michael McCullough, Executive Vice President, Chief Marketing Officer for the Heat Group. Michael, welcome to The Game of Life.
Gail, it's great to be here. Happy to be here. Thank you very much for playing that song. It gave me goosebumps.
Let me tell you, when I think about, again, the purpose of this show is really to highlight the positive impact of mentoring, to thank our partners, our donors, but also this month in particular, as we celebrate National Mentoring Month, it's only appropriate that we have champions in the building. And you have been a part of a 2-time NBA championship team. Excuse me. See, that's why I'm in the mark. Excuse me. 3-time.
Get it right.
3-time.
Get it right.
Help me out, brother. Help me out.
2006, 12, 13.
That is exact. I'm just sitting here thinking about 12 and 13. 3-time NBA champion. Excuse me, Heat Nation. I apologize profusely. Thank you, brother. But at the end of the day, when we think about mentoring impact, what I love about The Game of Life, this mentoring podcast, Michael, is the fact that we talk to folks about their journey, what brought them to not only South Florida, but what brought them to the team that they're on as well. And so I've heard you talk about your journey. It is profound. So tell us about your personal journey, Michael, and what brought you to the Miami Heat, the 3-time NBA champion Miami Heat, for the record.
That's right, for the record. That's correct. So I'm originally from Sacramento, California, and grew up out there. My dad was in the Air Force, spent 29 years in the Air Force. And my mom stayed at home while we had, I had 5 brothers and sisters. And, we had a good life, right? Air Force life, that sort of thing. But, my dad wasn't rich. We didn't get everything that we wanted. Mm-hmm. But there was always kind of a premium placed on education. I grew into athletics as a young person, played baseball first and moved into football. Basketball was actually my last sport, and I was awful at it. For a number of years before I got kind of good, but my sister could always beat me. And I got better and became a really good high school basketball player in Sacramento, and had the opportunity to look at different colleges for basketball scholarships. And it was interesting because back at that time, I really didn't have people kind of in my ear talking to me about the schools I should be thinking about. Because I'm in Northern California, I'm getting a lot of letters from schools in the Pac-10. I'm getting letters from places called Stanford and Cal.
Heard of those schools.
And those schools, they were right. And at the time, in my head, all I'm thinking about is, I want to play basketball. Mm-hmm. And I'm not really thinking about where should I really be going to school for the education part. So I really didn't pay attention to the letters from Cal and Stanford. And I wish I would have had somebody in my ear talking about, you know what that letter means right there?
Purpose of mentorship, right?
Exactly. So I ended up, very, very grateful for the choice that I made. I went to Utah State University.
Okay.
And I wanted to get away from California and have a college experience, but be close enough so my family could still see me play. We played a lot of games in California. So I went out there to school, and that was really a profound experience for me. One of the greatest things I could have ever done. I'm still very, very close friends with my college coach. Made best friends with people out there that are still friends to this day. But I just had an experience out there that, the basketball was great, but it was all about the education. And in fact, when I went on that visit, I had been on other visits to other schools, and they take you to the gym and they take you to the dorm. They show you all the cool places on campus. But when I got off the bus and the guy picked me up, the first place they took me was to the president of the school's office, and they sat me down and he said, if you come here, you're not coming as a basketball player. You're coming here as a student athlete. So I want to know what you want to study. I want to know what you want to be. Tell me about your school experience. I didn't see the gym till the second day. So I knew they placed a premium on education.
Yes.
That stuck with me out of all the places that I went to. So I ended up choosing that school for that reason and for some other reasons. And really just a fantastic experience. The basketball was great. I got to see the country. I played in the NCAA tournament. I played in the NIT tournament. But about halfway through my college career, I realized that I was not going to be good enough to play in the NBA.
Okay.
And at that time of your life, when you're a young buck and you're playing at their highest level, you
Invincible.
think, yeah, exactly, you're invincible. And of course, I'm going to make it to the NBA. I had to have that realization that I wasn't going to be good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And so I made sure that I was, not going to waste my opportunity with that free education that I got. And I was already focused on school, but I doubled down, and I really would, take the extra effort. And when I was going on a road trip, is meet with the professors beforehand, get whatever the work was done, all that sort of stuff. So I wanted to make sure I was going to graduate in 4 years. I was going to graduate with over a 3.2 GPA. These were goals that I set for myself. And I was able to do that and maintain, the type of schedule that you have to maintain as a college athlete. So I was really, really, really happy with that. I graduated in 1984 from Utah State with a degree in political science and thought I was going to be the next governor of California. That literally was my goal.
We could use you in politics.
Politics got really ugly, and I was like, you know what? I'm not so sure I want to go down that route. So when I got out of school, I was working in retail management and buying, and still actively playing, basketball. And one day in the summer, and this was back in the late '80s, when guys like me could still play in the summer pro-am. So I was playing in the summer pro-am against the people with the Kings. And after one of the games, and this was at a Sacramento City College, I go up into the stands, and I'm just sitting there like watching the next game. And I'm just sitting in the stands, minding my own business. And this older white gentleman comes up, and he sits right next to me. And I'm kind of looking around because there's a lot of seats in this gym. And he just, sat probably too close than I would think, but he sat next to me, and he struck up a conversation with me, just kind of out of the blue. And he just started asking me about my background and, what I was about and what I did, what I studied in school and what I'm doing now. And we ended up chatting for like an hour.
Wow.
And at the end of the conversation, he says to me, oh, by the way, my name is Joe Axelson. I'm the president of the Sacramento Kings. And I was really impressed with you. And if I ever had a job at the Kings, would you be interested in working for us? And I said, sure. And he got up and he left. And I figured that was his way of kind of extricating himself from the conversation. Like, how am I going to close this conversation out? Let me throw this line out and get out of here. But 6 months later, I got a call from his secretary.
You're kidding me.
She said, Joe A. wants to know if you wanted to come in for an interview. He's got a job. And I was like, sure. So I went in and interviewed with Joe, and I got the job working for the Sacramento Kings. And that was back in February 1st, 1988 is my first day on the job. In the NBA.
Incredible.
And here I am now, 31 years later, still in the game.
So sitting in the stands, plenty of seats.
Yep.
You are interviewed. Little did you know.
Right.
The job interview occurred right there. Yes. So for our listening audience, these young people that may not look somebody in the eye, may not speak to someone, tell them, can you please get up and move? You just lost that job that you didn't know you were being interviewed for.
Yeah.
There's so many life lessons there.
Let me tell you, I just this is so funny. Yesterday at the arena, we had a game, and one of the groups that was at the game were a group of DECA students, which is like the marketing program for Broward County. About 500 kids. And so I'm talking to the 500 kids yesterday as part of their program, and I actually recount the story. And so I recounted the story exactly as I just told it to you, and then I said, now let me tell that story today. Let me tell you how that story would go down today. So I said, today I'd go to the game and I'd be sitting in the stands, and the first thing I would do is I'd be pull my phone out.
That's right.
And I'd be knee deep in my phone, and somebody would sit next to me, and I would look at them as if, why are you sitting so close to me? And he'd try to talk to me, and I would give one-syllable answers or one-word answers because I'm immersed in YouTube, or I'm looking at my Instagram feed, and I wouldn't pay attention. And by the time this gentleman tried to have this conversation, he would get frustrated and he would have walked away. And my opportunity to have the best job and the best life I ever could have imagined would have walked away as well.
The art of conversation. I mention this all the time. Just you had a discussion with him for about an hour.
An hour.
Total stranger.
Yes.
Never met him before in your life.
Never.
Your first job in NBA as a result of that conversation.
Generational difference, age difference, race difference, upbringing, everything. And we chatted for an hour. Mostly I didn't know it, but he was interviewing me.
Yes, he was.
And I don't know what made him come and sit by me. I don't know what made him engage with me the way that he did. But he actually turned out to be, and I didn't know this word back then, but when I got that job, he turned out to be my mentor. He would call me into his office. And the thing about Joe Axelson was he'd been in the NBA since the very beginning, since the 50s. He's an old man, and he knew about the NBA from the George Mikan days. I mean, he'd been in the NBA that long. And so he would call me into my office, and he would yell out, "Hey, big time." And I walked into his office once. I was like, why are you calling me big time? He's like, because you're going to make it big time.
That's awesome.
So he would call me big time. And so he'd say, "Big time, come in here." And I'd come in his office, and we'd be sitting just like you and I are right now, and he would just share information with me. He would just drop knowledge on me about his life in the NBA, about what I should expect, what should I do. And the best piece of advice he ever told me was, well, two great things he told me. The first thing was, the players are not your friends. At the time I got my job, I was 27. And so that's about the age NBA players. And he says, look, you're in that age group. You're fashionable. You like music and all that sort of stuff. There's no reason why you shouldn't be friendly with the players. He said, but they're not your friends. He said, at some point in time, you're going to have to tell them what they have to do, and they're going to have to respect you. And if you're out with them the night before, and the next day you come in, and now you want to try to be their boss and tell them what to do, they're not going to respect you. They're not going to respect you at all.
Incredible advice.
So you can be friendly, and you can have a cordial relationship, but you cannot be their friend. And I've carried that with me throughout my entire career. So I'd say, like, if Dwayne Wade walked in this door right now, we would greet each other warmly.
Yes.
Shake hands, do the hug, the whole deal. Maybe exchange some pleasantries, and that would be about it. Here's a perfect example. I go day before yesterday. I get off work. I go to my nail salon to go get a manicure, pedicure, because that's modern men.
Smooth brother.
And I go to check in, and there's a little bit of a wait, and I'm not paying attention, and I hear somebody call my name. And I look up, and it's Hassan Whiteside is getting a pedicure, him and his girlfriend. And so I go over, and we just make small talk, like, hey, how often do you come here, that sort of thing, blah, blah, blah. Shake hands, walk away. That's good.
That's right.
That's good. No disrespect, no anything, but it's just like that's the relationship that I have to have with the players.
Maintaining those boundaries.
That's exactly right. And that's not the way it is at a lot of teams. A lot of teams, people in my position, they go in the locker room and they're, hanging out and all that sort of stuff. And I was taught from a very young part of my career, like,
by your mentor.
That is not the way to conduct yourself in this business if you want to succeed and you want to have a nice long career. The players are not your friends.
Is he still alive?
No, he passed away. And it was really a sad day for me when he passed.
How long ago was that?
He passed away about 10 years ago.
About 10 years ago.
Yeah, so I was already here in Miami, and it's funny, the way I ended up getting here, his name was Joe Axelson, and the Kings came from Kansas City to Sacramento.
Okay.
And when they came from Kansas City to Sacramento, a lot of people came with them. Well, his son, David, ran the broadcasting department, but he had one of those big booming voices. So he was actually the public address announcer for the Kings as well. So when the Miami Heat started down here in '88, David Axelson actually left Sacramento and came down here, and he was the public address announcer for the Miami Heat.
Wow.
And so him leaving Sacramento opened up the broadcasting position. So one day Joe A calls me in, big time, come in here. And he sits me down. He says, I'm going to make you the director of broadcasting. And I said, Joe, I don't know anything about broadcasting. The only thing I knew about broadcasting was you flip this switch and the TV turns on.
That's right.
I knew nothing about how the game would be happening in an arena and it could end up on my television. Like, I had no clue about broadcasting and broadcast technology. I said, why do you want me giving me this job? He says, because I think you can do it. That's all he said to me was, I think you can do it. Go do it. And so I said, okay, well, look, if he thinks I can do it, then I'm going to prove him right. And so I just dove headfirst into learning about broadcasting. I spent that whole summer down in San Francisco in the production truck for the San Francisco Giants, just sitting there watching how the game gets on the air.
Incredible.
I learned about satellite technology, spent time with the cable operators and cable providers, just immersed myself in broadcast, found out about negotiating contracts with announcers and how to negotiate contracts with cable providers and television networks. I just dove in.
The whole 9 yards.
Just dove in. And So I'm doing that job for 2 years. And in the middle of my second year, I get a call from this gentleman named John Kozner. And at the time, John was the senior vice president of broadcasting at the NBA. And I got to know him, obviously, through my job because all the teams kind of report into the league office. Right. And John says to me, hey, Michael, I have a job here in New York, and you're the only person I want to talk to about it. And I was like, well, why is that? And he said, well, look, when they put you in that position, you knew nothing about broadcasting. And here we are, 2 months later, and you are the best director of broadcasting in the NBA. You asked the right questions. You weren't afraid to ask questions. You're always on time with everything that needs to be submitted. Your contracts are filed properly. You've already negotiated good contracts. Like, that's the kind of person I want in the league office. So I went to New York, and I interviewed with David Stern, who was the commissioner at the time, and I got the job. And I never thought I was going to live in Manhattan. And I pick up and I moved from Sacramento to Manhattan. And at the time, the NBA was really tiny. It was when you walked in, they gave you your number, and that was your employee number. And I was number 247. There were only 247 people at the league office at that time, and now they're well over 1,000 people. Correct. So it was a small place. But again, it was like there was another opportunity that I didn't know I was being watched. I didn't know John was paying that kind of attention to me. And when he called me to say that you're the only person I want to talk to about this job, again, I was kind of like, why? I was caught off guard. But that was another opportunity that, again, you don't know when those opportunities are there.
No doubt about it.
You just don't know.
But the nucleus of all of this and how appropriate on the game of life where everybody makes a team, but how you play is up to you. It all goes back to your mentor.
Right.
Who got you in the arena, if you will, the league. And then from there, saw something in you that you never even thought about.
Right.
Pushed you, gave you the nickname, Big Time. I mean, that's a pretty cool nickname too, Michael.
Right.
So Big Time, I think I'm putting you in position to succeed.
Right.
And so for everybody listening, we're here with Michael McCullough, Executive Vice President, CMO of the Heat Group, the partnership that just continues to impress me, that continues to just remind me of what good corporate citizenship looks like from the Miami Heat. Michael is letting us know about his mentor, what it's done for him. But let me just ask you this, Michael, about the NBA brand.
Yes.
Because you clearly have told us about your mentor. The NBA has gone through significant changes. How important is giving back to the NBA, but more specifically to the Miami Heat?
Well, look, it's critical. I mean, you and I are sitting here having this conversation because of our relationship. And
yes.
Our relationship with Big Brothers Big Sisters is critically important. As you know, I've been a mentor. I've been a big for a long time.
Yes.
I absolutely love the program. I'm in conversation with the two littles that have matriculated through the program. Within the last week, I've talked to both of them. I had one of them at the game. He came and sat with me. I mean, we have that kind of relationship. And now I'm on my third little right now, and a young man who's a junior at Jackson Senior High School. And we have this really great relationship. I got to say, you guys do a great job with the matching. You figure out. You got this secret sauce.
There's some secret sauce. We don't go into that on the air. We know what we're doing.
You put the two people together, and it's like there's a reason why we're matched together. So for me personally, that's an important program, and for us as an organization, I just told you on the way in, I just came from basically an impromptu event.
Yes.
That we planned in about a day, where we went out and we fed the Coast Guard this morning. Because of the government shutdown. And clearly there are people who are working and not being paid, and we want to show our appreciation for what they're doing. And I sent an email to the staff asking for volunteers, and I said in the email, look, we know this is not our fault, and we can't solve all of society's problems. I said, but we can put a smile on these people's faces this morning and take them out of their situation for just a short period of time. And if we can do that, then that's our responsibility, and we should do that. So I hope you'll come and join me. And we had more people volunteer than we could handle. We had to actually turn people away. And after I get done with you on the podcast today, I'm driving over to Miami International Airport, and we're going to do the same thing with the TSA people. So look, we recognize that we have a platform, and that we've been blessed with an opportunity. We're a game, right? Our guys play a game, and the fact that we can make a living and be a part of people's lives because of this game that we're involved in. There's a lot more people who have far more serious jobs, and their jobs have more serious ramifications than what I do. I recognize that. But what I also recognize is that we, because of this sport and because of what it means to people in a community, we have a bond with these people.
Yes.
And we also have a responsibility to those very same people who support us to support them in whatever way, shape, or form that takes. Sometimes that's going to be a simple, financial donation. Sometimes that's going to be our own sweat, sweat equity that we're going to put into something. But whatever way in which we can find a way to give back to the South Florida community and sometimes broader and beyond the South Florida community, that's our responsibility. And so we do that. Community Affairs rolls up under me. We've been very aggressive with our community affairs since I got here, and it's a thing that makes me the most proud. I mean, we've done some really great things, and a lot of things that people, unless you're involved in that particular activity, you may never know about.
That's
it.
right.
But we've done some things that literally just brought me to tears. Just literally just reduced me to tears to see the impact that we can have on people. I'll share one quick story. When we had the Big Three, we had so many, we already have a ton of people requesting things from us. But when your team is at that kind of level of profile, then the request and everything just doubles and triples, just multiplies, because people they just want to be a part of it, and they see you as this beacon, and they just want some of that.
Right. Larger than life.
They want some of that in their life.
Yes.
And so, we always work very closely with the Make-A-Wish people, like very, very closely.
Yes.
And most of the time we do those things, we don't. They're not for publicity. We just do them because those kids and those families,
yes, they
need that. And during that era, we were just inundated with these requests from all over the world. And so we said, you know what, we're going to take a day, and we're going to commit our entire organization to Make-A-Wish, and we are going to get as many kids and families down here as possible, and we are going to give them the wish that they're asking for. And so we took probably 40 or 50 Make-A-Wish families, and everyone was paired up with an employee, and that employee was their I don't want to even use the word chaperone. We were their friend for the day.
Right.
And we took them through this incredible tour of the building, and we just spent this time with them. But then we took them into the locker room. And in the locker room, all the kids had jerseys with their names on them. We took pictures and everything, and that was cool.
Yeah.
But then we took them out into the bowl, the main arena, and it was dark. And we turned on the spotlight, and we turned on Seven Nation Army.
There you go.
And we introduced each of those children one at a time with Michael Biamonte, our PA announcer, and they ran through a tunnel of our players who high-fived them all, and they all got their jerseys. They all had their jerseys with the name on it. And then the players took them through this incredible time on the court. And I tell you, not a single camera in there. Nobody knew what was going on. And I'm engaged. I'm engaged with my family, and I'm watching all this, and I'm literally just standing over in the corner, just tears just streaming down my face, because the parents and these kids, like they were just kids for a minute.
That's right.
They're just kids. But the parents, just to see the look on the parents' face, I'm a parent of 5 kids. I understand what that means to see your child, happy. It was just an amazing event, that because we're part of this sport, that we could bring that kind of experience to people.
No doubt about it.
So I just make it a point that everybody that works for me, everybody that works for the Heat Group, they really understand, like, we have a responsibility here because we have this platform, and we have to not be willing to give back. Like, we should be actively searching for opportunities to do these things. And so that's what we do.
Well, let me just brag on the Heat Group for just a minute. I mean, what you all have done, the example you give in terms of just making a child smile.
Mm-hmm.
Take your mind off of just some of the reality you have to deal with every single day.
Right.
The hurt, the pain, the challenges, socioeconomically and otherwise. Just this month, I was over at the arena a couple nights ago for Her Time to Play.
Right.
Incredible Heat staff. The staff were incredible from your department and others that were just talking about telling young ladies you can have the confidence. We had little sisters sitting there hearing professionals that are in the league working for the Heat Group, some on the court, some off the court, but it was all about it's your time.
Right.
You can be anything you want to be in this quote unquote male dominated sport. Don't ever question your ability.
Right.
A month ago, a couple weeks back, I should say, I'm on the court. We had a night of champions during the game. The Heat won that night, great victory. But not only that, we were able just to, at center court, and these were bigs, and some of our corporate partners as well, that we just honored. You all have hosted our gala. The Miami Heat has consistently been a school-to-work, workplace mentoring. You talked about your littles. I'm going to come back to that.
Yep.
You guys are mentoring every single month high school students in partnership with Big Brothers Big Sisters, and that's motivated other NBA teams. NBA Cares had a recent conference call. The Miami Heat was the featured one of your staff, Eric Torres over there. Shout out to Eric and the entire Ralph Leon and Leon Bachachi, all the guys over at the Heat Group. But they talked about what you all are doing. So not only are you making a difference here in South Florida, the Miami Heat, the Heat Group, what you all are doing, Michael, is you're setting an example nationwide for the entire NBA. So for that, I thank you. I thank Eric Woolworth. I know he's out sick today. Shout out to Eric Woolworth, president of the Heat Group as well. Just thank you for what you guys are doing, because it's sincere.
I appreciate that. And it really starts from the top with Mickey Harrison, who is the owner of the franchise. And how he looks at the Heat is we are a community asset.
Yes.
You know, we are a community asset that exists for the benefit of our community. And, you know, yes, he owns Carnival Cruise Lines and all that sort of stuff. But, you know, he doesn't take any money out of his team. Everything goes right back into the team and into the operation, into the organization. So we can do exactly what you're talking about.
It's sincere, very humble.
Yeah. And we take great pride in it, but we don't puff our chests out.
Right.
We do the work because it's the work that needs to be done. And we enjoy doing it, and we look for the next opportunity. We're always looking for the next opportunity to help somebody.
As you, and certainly shout out to Mickey Harrison, the generosity, the partnership. You know, you talk about the big three. You know, my big three in my world, it's the Heat, Carnival, and Big Brothers, Big Sisters.
Right.
Now, you were talking about a big three. You were talking about something else, right?
Some other thing.
Some other thing. And some little. You talked about being a big brother, Michael, and we've sit together and interview kids for scholarships in different contexts. And we get a chance to hear their stories every single day. And it's humbling, very humbling, what these kids going to school every day and what they have to deal with. What has being a big brother not only meant to you, but what has it taught you? A lot of folks tell me they sign up, I want to change a child's life. I want to be Superman. I want to come in, I'm coming from Wakanda, and I'm going to come in and just change this child's life. But it's what they teach us.
Exactly.
What has been, now let's go back just a little bit. You've had three.
I've had three. I'm on my third right now.
Now, your first little brother, where is he now?
Gene Vilpin is my first little. And, you know, when Gene came to me, here's this kid with this boundless personality.
Yes.
And energy and no focus whatsoever. You know? And so I had to try to get Gene focused and get that energy channeled. And we did, and Gene was awarded one of the scholarships. He went to FAMU for 4 years.
Shout out to the Rattlers.
Shout out to the Rattlers. Got his degree up there. Went up to FSU, and he's finishing his master's degree in music. And now Gene is back here in Miami. He is teaching music at Beach High.
How about that?
And he is in the Heat Street Band.
Look at that.
And most importantly, you know, he always wanted to be in the music business, and he is. If you search on iTunes right now for Jay Vilpin, you're going to see 3 or 4 albums pop up. If you go to Spotify, you're going to see his music.
We're going to blast him out to Jay Vilpin on Spotify.
Jay Vilpin on Spotify. Like, dude's made it.
That's all right. We're going to get him to our national conference, maybe. Big Brothers, Big Sisters of America. I know they're listening to me.
Yep.
So Jay Vilpin, we may get a little brother. Again, mentor, education, progression, success, and now he's in the Heat Street team as well. Right?
Exactly. And I mentioned him in our interview session because we had a young man who said, I want to be in the music business. I'm like, here you go. We get to pass that along. There's that lineage that comes from Big Brothers Big Sisters, tying everybody together. So here's another opportunity for him as a little who went through the program and is now being successful in life. This could be an opportunity for him to pay it back.
So little brother number 1, master's degree.
Master's degree.
Teaching, music, back in South Florida.
Yep.
Still connected with this big brother. What did he teach you?
Ah, geez.
One word. Give me one word. What did Gene teach you? Patience.
Patience.
Let's talk about little brother number 2.
David Javier.
David Javier.
Comes to me super composed young man, fashionable, quiet, again, not really focused. But you could tell from the first day I met him, like, he's a really bright kid, like really bright kid. He's got a good home life, but he just wasn't sure about what he wanted to do. I'm like, David, man, you're sitting on a gold mine, dude. You got this personality. You have the smarts. Let's get you focused.
Right.
Let's get you focused. So we spent the next 3 years getting David focused, telling him how important school is, coming to games with me, experiencing kind of all that and seeing what I do. He got focused. He got motivated. Again, another opportunity to get the scholarship. David is awarded the scholarship, spending his first 2 years right now at Miami-Dade.
Very good.
I just had him at the game over the holidays, and David says to me, well, first of all, David sends me his grades every grading period.
How about that?
Every grading
Accountability.
period, I get his grades. And he's so proud of his grades. He wants me to know that he's doing what I talked about.
That's special.
So says to me, guess what? Put in my papers, transferring to FIU.
Okay.
So he's excited about that. So he's doing his 2 years at Miami-Dade. He's going to FIU in the fall. Super excited about it. The kid is focused. And now, because, I always talk to him about exercise and fitness and all that sort of stuff. When I saw him at the game, I'm like, David, look at you. He's now he's huge. He says, you got me so interested in fitness. Now I'm going for my first triathlon.
That's incredible.
So he has grown and, doing his thing. And
Mentoring feels good and looks good on you.
Exactly.
So what has David taught you?
David.
You're helping a kid, but they're helping you too.
Yeah, no, look, David, and I guess I didn't say that I have 5 kids of my own, so it's not like I haven't been through the kid thing. But these young men that I've been able to work with, they all teach me something different. And with David, Gene was patience, but David was like not so much compassion, but it was like this finding something deeper kind of inside yourself.
Yes.
To dig a little deeper and find out, like, how do I reach this young man? Because again, he was very sharp and was on the ball, but again, just wasn't kind of focused.
There's still something there you needed to tap into.
And each of these young men are completely different.
Yes.
Like, they're so different, but they each kind of they all have that something in there that you can see, and you're trying to scratch at it and peel back the onion and scratch. How can I get to that spot?
That's right. One size doesn't fit all. There's, in every relationship, I say this all the time in the Big Brothers Big Sisters context, no two relationships are alike.
No.
Unique relationships. And now your current little brother, who's that young man?
That's Donovan Bowens. Again, the matches, I mean, Donovan was me when I was Donovan's age.
Oh, my goodness.
Tall, skinny kid who plays basketball, and that's all he wants to talk about. That was exactly me. When I met Donovan for the first time, I was like, oh, I'm walking into the room like it's me. But Donovan's the same way. Like, he's focused on the sport, and hurt his knee a little bit in basketball, and so I told him, I said, I did the same thing. I started running track when I was in high school, and maybe that's something you should think about. So now Donovan is on the track team as well.
That's excellent.
And taking it really seriously. But the first thing we do when we come in my office is like, okay, here, you take my chair, wheel up to the computer, show me your grades. Pull yourself up on the report. And the first few times he did it, he was embarrassed. He didn't really want to do it. And I was like, this is one of the things that we're going to talk about every time that you're here, is what's happening in your student portal. So we go through his student portal all the time. And last week when he was in the office, soon as we walk in, he's like, let me show you my grades.
Love it.
Let me show you my grades. And he goes up to the portal, and I'm looking at the last 9 weeks, and I'm looking at this 9 weeks. I'm like, look at that improvement. I said, and you can just see his chest is puffing out, and the pride, because there's some significant improvement. And he's like, look at my GPA. I'm looking at his GPA, and I'm like, okay, you're on your right track. And I show him the book that we have of the scholarship application.
Absolutely.
And I said, here's you next year, because he's a junior. I said, this is you next year. You're going to be in here.
You're getting them ready.
And I said, I'm going through this process right now, and these kids are focused. They're driven. And I said, there's 30 kids, and there's 15 scholarships. And I said, I want you to be one of these kids.
Your first little brother taught you patience. Your second little brother taught you compassion. Just reinforce that. And now your current little brother, what's he teaching you? I mean, it's a work still in process. We understand that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he is. This is about drive. This is about instilling that drive in somebody.
Absolutely.
And seeing it come to life.
That's right.
Because, again, Donovan, mom and dad are at the house. He's got a sister, and, he's got a really great home life. So he's got a really good support system.
Absolutely.
And so sometimes you just need to be that extra person or that other voice that's pushing.
But it's interesting that you said, excuse my interruption, Michael, but when you think about your story, you just said that was you walking in the office.
Oh, absolutely.
Look at this Full Circle podcast. Watch this. That was you sitting in those stands.
Right.
Somebody saw something in you, talked to you, challenged you to do something you had never maybe you might have thought about it, but put you in the arena. He's thinking about basketball.
Right.
Donovan.
Right.
And now you're like, hold on a second. He goes from embarrassed to excited about his grades.
Absolutely.
Put me in that seat. Let me show you what's going on now.
Right.
Michael, one last question for you. As I think about the young men, the Donovans out there, the Davids, the Jeans that are in need of a big brother, your mentor, Joe, correct?
Yes.
What Joe did for you is blessing South Florida.
Mm-hmm.
What you've done with and for these young men is blessing our community as well. There are men, women volunteer at a rate of 3 to 1 compared to men. 3 to 1.
Right.
This thing with men and commitment.
Right.
But mentoring, we're going to market that.
Dang.
If you know anybody in marketing, you need to help me with that. Mentoring.
Right.
What would you say to the guys that are out there listening? Because we're on Apple Podcasts now. We're on Spotify. This Game of Life. We're going to continue to send the message and let people know that, the NBA brand, solid. The Heat brand, solid. Big Brothers, because all working together to help our communities here and nationwide.
Right.
But what's your message to the guys that are listening? Heat Nation, and anybody that we listen to this podcast about, I want to help, but I don't think I can. I don't know. I'm not qualified. What's your message? Because you are a seasoned big brother.
I don't want to swear, but I was going to say, get off your butt. Just do it, because number one, you're needed, and you might not think you have what it takes, but you do, because in actuality, it doesn't take that much. It takes your time, it takes your interest, and it takes your willingness to be able to help someone. And I remember before I got in the program, I was worried because, again, I have 5 children of my own.
Yes.
Right? So I had, and they were younger than they are now. Mm-hmm. And when, Linda Cole came and described the program, and I was like, it sounds like something I want to do, but I'm not going to have the time. I got my job, and I got this, and I got
You're
that.
a little busy.
I'm busy. But I was like, you know what? And I did. I thought exactly like what you just said. I said, somebody went out on a limb for me. And that's one of the reasons why I'm sitting in this chair and even having this opportunity. Somebody went out on a limb for me. I need to go out on a limb for somebody else. I need to give somebody the opportunity that I was given. It may not be in the same way,
right?
But I need to open somebody else's doors, and I could do that through this program. I knew I could make a difference. I could connect with these young men, and every month when Donovan or Gene or David would come, we'd have that connection.
Yes,
we'd have that connection, and I don't want to paint like a storybook or like a fantasy picture.
Give them the real.
It's not like the like you don't have moments where it's tough or that sort of thing. But that's life.
Such as life.
That's life.
That's right.
And they need to see that. It's not like you're the Disneyland mentor and you like everything's got to be great. No, you got to take some time and just listen and have conversations and talk about life and share your story and share your journey so that they can see themselves in you a little bit. And it doesn't matter, Gene is African American, David's Hispanic,
yes,
Donovan's African American. It doesnn't matter. You don't have to be hooked up with somebody who's like you.
That's exactly right.
You need to be hooked up with somebody who needs you. And what you're going to end up finding out is no matter what your situation is, you are going to need them as well. you're going to benefit as well by spending that time with these kids. And when I went to David and Jean's high school graduations, they invite me to the graduation, and they're so proud that I come and want to make sure I meet their parents and their family and their friends. Like, I'm part of their family. I'm part of the family now.
Mentoring is family.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Heat's family. Michael, it's always a pleasure. We'll be hanging out all day on Monday, interviewing some more kids with scholarships.
Can't wait.
But one of the things that I just want to say one more time for all of our listeners, the Heat Group's making it happen. The NBA brand is strong. The Heat Group, the Miami Heat, incredible, incredible. 3 times.
3 times.
See how I got that? So you got to close right. 3-time NBA champion Miami Heat. And so as we think about giving back, we think about the game of life where everybody makes a team, but how you play is up to you. Thank you for what you're doing, brother.
Absolutely.
You're making it happen.
Happy to do it. Happy to be
and
here.
because you love music, I switched my closing song for you as well because I know how much it means to you, brother. But the bottom line is this, ladies and gentlemen, everybody can do something. The cost of doing nothing is far too high. Be a champion for a kid today. Step out. Go out on that limb. And what you'll find is they're going to teach you more than you ever thought you'd give. Let's go. This is the Game of Life.